This is Dustin Neal. How you doing?
Hi, Dustin. How are you?
Oh, good. Great to talk to you. Hey, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it sure has. What's happening?
Oh, not much. Just sitting here watching your podcast again with Army Hammer, just laughing it up, thinking about how in the world you pulled all this stuff out of thin air and put it on TV and people actually buy
Are you
that.
crazy?
Oh,
That's not
yeah.
fair. There's court documents, Dustin. You did jail time, Dustin.
I
You
did.
lots of stuff.
But did I burn down rich people's houses and do time for murdering people and burning down their golf courses? No, I sure didn't. I set off illegal fireworks. Come on. You think that I would even
5 years. You did 5 years in prison for arson.
I did 49 months, hon. You better check the DOC records. Anyways, long story short, if I did what you said, I'd still be in prison and I wouldn't be locked up.
You did. Hold on. Slow down. I didn't say you did anything. What I said is.
Oh, I didn't do
it's
anything.
Suspicious that somebody would drive a fake fire truck into a fire scene.
Well, second of all, it's not a fake fire truck. It works and operates just like it should. Second of all, I've never seen a fake fire truck. What's the criteria for a fake one? To be honest, I think you should define that. You're the one that made this term up.
You weren't authorized to go into that fire scene.
We are not a fire department. We are firefighters. We're volunteers. It's different up here in Oregon. Now, hey, let me ask you.
We're in California, not Oregon.
That's true, and you guys apparently don't have volunteers down there, according to 3 of your deputies.
Correct.
Which is weird. You're all paid for down there. That's pretty sad. Because, up here in Oregon, it's a little different. We don't have to step on each other's feet to make a living up here like you guys do down there. So.
Well, look, if you want to talk on the record and tell me exactly why you were there and what you guys were doing.
We can, but I'd rather save it for my time and actually get on with Army Hammer, which he invited me, and basically everything I say is going to go against what you did, except for actually doing time, which is what I was responsible for,
And, your wife does work with these, inmates that have made raps that are a little alarming about climate change.
Yeah, okay, well, climate change is a given fact. That is true, Nothing is, what is wrong with that? Helping kids understand the future and past the weather events and.
I agree, but you can understand why somebody. Look, I've covered terrorism for decades. What you guys did is suspicious.
Okay.
And worthy of further exploration. That is my point.
Let's start off with this. Let me throw you a curveball, Michelle. Have you ever met a conservative eco-terrorist? Do they exist down there in California? Is that a thing?
Of course they do. Are you kidding me? Of course there's all kinds of conservative terrorism groups.
Do you know who Lars Larson is?
I do not.
Okay, never mind. Then I can't bounce that off you then. Okay, so let's go about this. Most of the time when these people are eco-terrorists and Antifa, if you had to put a political view on Antifa, what would you put at?
That's irrelevant.
Oh, I think so. Come on, answer the question. Answer the question. Come on.
I don't have time for this right now. I'm in the middle of work. If you'd like to set up a time to chat and go on the record, I'm happy to do it.
We are. I thought that's what we were doing. And
I know, but I don't want to get into a debate with you, Dustin. I don't have time. I'm a reporter that's very busy. But if you want to tell me exactly your role, I'm happy to hear it.
Okay, so here, I'll tell you like I told everybody else, it's the same story. It's not made up. We didn't pull it out of thin air. We don't have a crystal ball. You guys do, California. But anyway, so here's what happened.
Hold on one second. Let me get my computer so I can take some notes.
Okay.
Okay, in fact, I'm going to record this if you don't mind.
That's fine. I got no problem with that.
This call will be recorded.
Don't comment on me.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm an open book. Ask me anything.
Okay, so why would you drive into that fire scene in this fire truck knowing that you were unauthorized?
Well, I believe there's a lot of unauthorized people down there in the first place from all walks of life, in-state, out-of-state, whether you're a volunteer or not. Now let's talk about this. So this is probably why a lot of people think it's so strange. Apparently, and a lot of people don't know this, but apparently there's no such thing as volunteers in California. So when you guys did find out we were volunteers, that probably raised a red flag. No wonder you guys thought we were so suspicious, because volunteers don't exist in California. And how would you know anybody's an arsonist until you pull them over and run their record? Huh?
Well, that's exactly what happened in your case.
No kidding, huh? Yeah, I seen it on TV myself. I was there, Michelle. You weren't.
Okay.
Okay, so we went down there because we decided to volunteer our time. We have the equipment, the know-how. Up here in Oregon, it was going to be 20 degrees that weekend, pouring sideways. Plus, we had just lost our baby. We wanted to get away from everything that happened up here in Oregon. It
I am
seemed,
very sorry for that.
it's true. And no, that's the only thing, I'll be honest with you, Michelle. You can say anything you want, everybody under the sun can, but that is physically the only thing that really upset me about this whole thing is accusing us of doing wrongdoing. Michelle, she never made it home from the hospital. There was no abuse taking place whatsoever.
I never suggested there was. I reported what was on the court records.
Well, none of that was true either. So, like I said, where you get your information is, I'd love to talk to your resources and where you get this information from, because it's just, it's
Court documents.
there's no court documents on anything to do with our baby. Nobody knows what happened to
When
her.
you were arrested, they made a note that there was a child abuse investigation that was simultaneous to that.
Yeah. We weren't talking about that, but anyways, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go back to California. Things happened with our daughter. We decided to get away. We went down there, volunteered our time. Now, I've had these engines since 2020. I don't know if you know the Santa Ana Canyon fire that happened up here in 2020. I've run a personal engine for myself up here in our community since then, and I've always had one around the house. When something happens, one of these farmers gets a hot bearing or whatever and sets the field on fire, guess who shows up? Me. And no, I'm not paid. George Soros doesn't get in my wallet and put $100 bills in there overnight. It's just me. That's all there is to it. So we decided to go down to Malibu. We went in. We were there for days and days. And, we went down there to help out. And then we went back into the restricted zone that one night after the prior night that we went in there and handed out 300 hamburgers to law enforcement, the National Guard, and Cal Fire. And this was after we checked in fire camp and stayed there, camped on the beach just like everybody else, went and ate chow, went to morning briefing just like everybody else, and previous fires that we've been on for years and years. It's all the same.
Yep.
So, we didn't do anything suspicious. We were there doing smoke patrol just like everybody else. It's the name of the game that we've done for years prior, before Malibu and before I became, had a record and all that. It's very simple. Does not take a college education to run a fire engine or come down there and have a pair between your legs to actually say that you're volunteering and do so. So, anything else?
Well, so tell me about your prison record, your criminal record.
Well, I can tell you about that. That's pretty easy. So that is something that started out in September of 2016, and I got in trouble with 6 of my buddies for setting off commercial fireworks on a retirement golf course in Woodburn, Oregon. And this was something that we did for years. We did it for about 8 or 9 years. Every time we would go over there, we would bring illegal mortars, fireworks from out of state, which are from Washington, which you can buy perfectly legal. And we would go over there typically in the wintertime when it was wet, and we would set off these fireworks. And like I said, we did this for a number of years. There were a lot of angry people. Nobody ever got hurt. Nobody ever lost any property whatsoever. No one's house ever caught on fire. Nobody ever sustained any type of medical injury, whether it was on the record or not. There was nothing that ever came of that. The only thing that was done was possibly vandalism and, elevated heart rates, and that's about it. Angry tempers.
Well, I don't know about that. It seems like a pretty harsh prison sentence.
Yes.
It is, and I'll tell you why. It's because we did that for all those years. They weren't going to just let me off with criminal mischief. Criminal mischief, I'm sure you know, Michelle, is a pretty low charge, and you'll do maybe 6 months for a charge like that. Maybe, at most. And they weren't going to let me off with 6 months after doing that for 8 or 9 years on that retirement golf course. No way. So they charged me with arson. Now, let me read you the ORS. The ORS in Oregon states, I'm sure you did research on this in the first degree if you know what a Measure 11 is. You know what a Measure 11 category is?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Measure 11 category was set in 1996 by a guy named Kevin Mannix in the state of Oregon. It's funny because Mannix's actual relative got in trouble just after he put this law in effect and it actually went to, Supreme and all that, and they voted it
Okay,
in.
this is you're going in the weeds.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you about
Safety
measure.
concerns.
I got to tell you about Measure 11, how it works. You get a mandatory month sentence for committing these crimes: rape, arson, murder, so on and so forth, assault. Like I said, when you commit arson in the first degree, it is category Measure 11 in the first degree. When you commit this crime, you do not have to set a fire or destroy any property to catch arson in the first degree. Arson in the first degree is subject if you place somebody's life in danger by setting off an explosion, which is exactly what happened on that golf course. You will get that charge, and that is a serious charge in the state of Oregon, which is exactly what happened.
Old to be setting off fireworks as a grown man?
Would you what?
I said, do you feel like maybe you're a little old to be setting off fireworks as a grown man?
When we started doing that in the 7th grade, and we kept doing it when I was 22, not really, because instead of doing drugs and partying and staying out late at night drinking, that's just what we did. So no, not at all. Would you rather go out and party and go ahead?
Not when it landed you in prison?
I didn't know it was going to land me in prison. Obviously, if I wouldn't have known that, I probably wouldn't have done that, huh?
Where did you meet Jenny?
A few years ago, we met at a car club event. She's into Volkswagens, and so am I.
Okay. So you're saying you guys weren't doing anything wrong. Why did you have all these radios?
Because I'm a ham radio operator. I've got 2 federal licenses for ham radio operation. I became a ham radio operator out of high school. So those are legal. Go ahead.
Where's your case stand now?
We're just looking at a couple misdemeanors. We're just going on to a continuance in California, and they're just trying to drag it out. It's a typical thing in any state to do. We're looking at the charge of, I think it's in entering a restricted area, which is a misdemeanor. And then the other charge is obviously impersonation of a state official. And that's all we're looking at. None of this burglary nonsense ever stuck. We were never charged with this burglary stuff. And supposedly it was felonies, and it never was. I honestly thought it was felonies myself when we were incarcerated, but it never was.
You regret doing it?
Going down there?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. 100% no. And depending on how this comes out, and if you guys have another big bad fire down there, which, in the given with the wind and everything that's probably going to happen in the next decade, I would do it again in a heartbeat. I'd probably let Jenny sit this one out, but I would do it myself. And then we can do this all over again.
So, look at it. Somebody who is a self-described conservative, do you see the concerns that people might have that you can drive a big fire truck into any emergency zone?
I think so. If you're down there in the state of California and you guys look at things upside down compared to the rest of the people up here in the north, then yeah, maybe so. But the thing about it is we have volunteer people around here. They don't even wear fire gear in some of their operations. They get on scene, they do what needs to be done, and they take care of it. There is no hugs, there's no kisses, there's nobody coming and saying, you guys saved the house. It's just being a good neighbor. That's all it is. There's nothing more to it. But in California, you guys don't do that, so you guys wouldn't understand. So maybe the way that's twisted on the news, you guys can conceive it as something bad.
And you understand why people would think that all of this is suspicious? Jenny's knowledge of wind, some of the commentary that was made by her students, and the BOGO that was put out by the FBI the next day.
Yeah, well, the FBI has yet to contact us, nor, let's go on the record here and make a formal statement, but the FBI doesn't seem to commit to investigating anything that's worthy of terrorism in the real fact, so I guarantee you they're not going to waste their time with us because they got better things to do. So, anyways, being in her position with an education and teaching kids, there's nothing wrong with teaching kids weather. And you know what, Michelle, this took place years before any of this happened, obviously. She didn't have anything to do with any fire starting or anything like that. Neither did these youngsters that she teaches. So I don't know how you guys can wrap that into one whole story. It is, I understand, if you twist the story and play back things like you guys are, okay, maybe you can get someone to go, yeah, well, You can't connect dots; they're too far away, and that's what you guys are doing.
Okay, well, I appreciate your call. I'm happy to talk to you and put this on the record.
Yeah.
You caught me at a bad time, so let's continue this conversation.
Let's do that. Let's get on. Let's make a video. Let's do it like you and Army Hammer. I think that would be outstanding. Let's get the information out there.
But we'll see. But thank you for the call, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. What's the deal?